Today we're taking a closer look at the offensive lineman Ryan Poles signed out of British Columbia. Another addition to my undrafted free agent spotlight series today on Theo Benedect, a guy who is a well-known and highly touted prospect throughout Canada. Theo was touted as the potential #1 overall pick in the CFL draft 2 years ago. He declined the opportunity to enter and stayed at British Columbia, starting 4 straight seasons at right tackle. He finished his career just short of winning a national title there, but was a back-to-back first-team All-Canadian member and the first offensive player in Canadian history to win the country's Best Offensive Lineman award in back-to-back seasons, the PJ Metros Trophy. Also, looking back into 2023, he was the only Canadian football player to be invited to the East-West Shrine Bowl. Now, let me be clear. He was not at this year's Shrine Bowl in Dallas. He was at the 2023 Shrine Bowl in Las Vegas. But after participating in the Shrine Bowl, he chose to stay in school for another year, finishing out his career at British Columbia. In Canada, the CFL is bigger than it is here, and people questioned Theo's decision to pass on becoming the #1 pick in the CFL draft. He had his eyes set on the NFL, and for good reason. He wanted to be the first player ever drafted from the University of British Columbia. Unfortunately, he fell just short of that goal, but he did accomplish his dream of making the NFL, signing a contract quickly after the draft with the Chicago Bears. Today, I want to talk about our undrafted rookie offensive lineman from Canada and what he brings to the Chicago Bears roster, as well as his chances of actually making the team. Let's go ahead and get right into it. The first thing that jumps off the tape with Theo Benedect is his athleticism, something that Ryan Poles is always looking for in offensive linemen, and Theo does not disappoint. At 6'7", 296 pounds, he scored a 9.03 on the relative athletic score, but I think he's actually more athletic than that, and the score didn't even do him justice. Looking at his tape, I label this dude as an athletic freak, and watching his workouts at the Shrine Bowl last year have only confirmed my belief in his athleticism. And then I found out why he didn't score even higher. Theo himself actually commented on Twitter about his RAS score, stating that he scored that high even on a sprained ankle. So while yes, his 9.03 RAS score alone is impressive, he did that on a sprained ankle, and I think he's even more athletic than the score shows. He played all 4 seasons at right tackle, but when he went to the Shrine Bowl last year, he got reps at both tackle spots as well as right guard. He doesn't have the longest arms at just over 32 inches long, and a transition inside to guard, similar to what Tevin Jenkins did, makes a ton of sense for Theo. In fact, he even plays a little bit like Tevin, in that he loves to finish plays, dominate his opponents, and pancake defenders. He plays with a mean streak and has power to go with his athleticism. He's a guy who blocks to the echo of the whistle and just loves to finish plays. He's also very coachable as well, but he does still need to add more lower body strength and continue refining his technique and hand usage, especially in the NFL. But overall, Theo brings a ton of upside to this roster. He's an explosive athlete who has an awesome ability to operate in space and finish off his blocks. That's something that this offensive staff, even though we have a brand new staff, it's something that Ryan Poles and the scouting department have valued in offensive linemen. They love guys that are athletic, can move, and operate at the second level. And that is something that Theo brings to this team instantly. He also showcased his toughness playing through an ankle injury and is a guy I think has a shot to make the team. He brings enough versatility to stay at offensive tackle, but he's probably better suited inside at guard. I think most likely he moves inside to guard, but he still can play tackle in an emergency. He most likely still needs at least a year of development and could end up on the practice squad in 2024. But our offensive line coach seemed to be a big fan of him, Chris Morgan, and that is something that we can't discount here. Reports on social media also indicated that at least 10 other teams were interested in signing Theo after the draft ended, but he chose the Chicago Bears in part because of his relationship with Chris Morgan. He said the reason he chose to sign with the Bears was because he felt there was an O-line coach here who really believed in him. For those not too familiar with SEMO, Chris Morgan has done a great job working with the limited talent he's had on this offensive line the last 2 years. He's helped develop Braxton Jones into a starting left tackle who has an upside to be a top 10 guy. He's also helped develop Tevin Jenkins into one of the best guards in the NFL. Considering that when he got here, there were reports in that first training camp from Brad Biggs and other Bears reporters that Tevin Jenkins was going to be traded and he didn't fit this team. Instead, Chris Morgan has developed him, and he's honestly one of the better young players on our roster if he can just stay healthy for a full season. So even though our offensive line has been limited and it's taken Ryan Poles 3 years to actually build it, Chris Morgan has done a really good job with the players he's had in front of him. If he sees something in Theo Benedict, I'm excited to see how he can develop him going forward and what he can get out of this guy. Another exciting part of this rebuild that's not talked about much is that we can actually develop players now, something that's been missing in Chicago for quite some time. Just take a look at our recent undrafted players like Jack Sanborn, Tyson Bagent, and Jalen Jones as proof. This year's crop of UDFAs are going to have a lot harder time making the roster because Ryan Poles has really improved the talent level on this roster. But there are still at least a handful of guys that I think could be diamonds in the rough and have a chance of sticking around and making this roster. Theo Benedict is one of those guys. While I think he's more likely to be a practice squad guy this year, he does have a chance to surprise and make the roster. Keep an eye out for one of Canada's best offensive lineman prospects, Theo Benedict, a rookie, undrafted free agent out of British Columbia. Welcome to the Chicago Bears. Let me know what you guys think of Theo. Please remember to hit that like button for me. I appreciate everybody who watches. And until next time, bear down.